Hello! I hope you're well, welcome, or welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a bonus. When I saw that the History Challenge readathon also had the History Challenge tag, I couldn't resist. I thought it would be a nice way to kind of round out the readathon when this video is going live. It is the final day of the readathon, August 30th. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this tag. The first question is, what first got you into history? I feel like I was always into history, partly because history was always a part of my life, and I tell this story that I think people think is apocryphal of Henry VIII and his 6 wives being my bedtime stories, but it is true. I grew up hearing stories of the European royals and royal families. Those histories of those people were so fascinating to me, and just I let my imagination run with it. And so as I learned more about these people, I started looking more into the other people in their lives, and it kind of expanded from that knowing facts about one person to wanting to know everything there was to know about their lives, the people in it, and the world in which they live. What is your favorite history book or author? Currently, that would be Sonia Purnell. In the last few months, I've read 2 of her books, the one on Clementine Churchill, and I just finished A Woman of No Importance for the readathon, and I really enjoyed them. They're biographies. I found the writing really accessible. You can't really consider someone's life a plot, but she makes it read in a way that it does feel like a plot and a story. It doesn't feel like a textbook. I enjoy the way that she writes these biographies of these historical women. What is your most anticipated history book you've not read yet? I think one of them is Say Nothing by Radden Keefe. I bought this book when it first came out earlier this year, after hearing so many rave reviews about it, and it's about the Troubles in Northern Ireland through this interesting lens of this notorious disappearance and I believe murder of this 38-year-old woman. And then there's one that I recently discovered that I've immediately ordered called No Man's Land: The Trailblazing Women Who Ran Britain's Most Extraordinary Military Hospital During World War I by Wendy. And this is a book that is so up my alley for a number of reasons. I really enjoy biographies about women, but I also really enjoy histories that focus on women living in a particular moment in history and gives you insight into what their experiences were during that time. So this one being about doctors, I believe, during World War I seems really interesting to me, and I can't wait to read it. So there you go. What is your favorite time period? What book do you want to read / have read about it? I think at this point in my life, I can say that World War II, so basically the 1930s, 1940s, is my favorite time period. I've read a lot set during this time period, both fiction and nonfiction. And one of the books that I read a few years ago that I really enjoyed was Hitler's Furies, which was by Wendy. It is similar to No Man's Land. It's about women living in a particular moment in history. Hitler's Furies focuses on the everyday German woman living during the Third Reich, the secretaries, the nurses, the school teachers, wives of SS officers, and the like, who are swept up in this nationalistic fervor. It's different from other books that I've read that have focused on kind of the most notorious women in the sort of hierarchy of the Third Reich, like the Bitch of Buchenwald, or Hitler's girlfriend. I read it a few years ago, so it's not super fresh in my mind, truth be told, but I do remember enjoying it. Another book that I want to read that's set in that same time period is K.L., A History of Nazi Concentration Camps by Nicholas Washman. As you can tell from the subtitle, it is the history of concentration camps. There are a number of reasons I haven't read it yet. I bought it right as it was released, but it's a nearly 900-page tome. But I also feel that because of the subject matter, it is a book that is going to be really emotionally heavy and difficult at times to read, but I also feel that you kind of need to be in the right frame of mind to tackle something like that. So yeah, I think that kind of sums it up. What time period would you like to learn more about? What book do you want to read, have read about it? One of the time periods I'm interested in learning more about is World War I, but not just World War I, kind of the years leading up to it, so what causes it. One of the books that I want to read that covers that is called A Mad Catastrophe, which is about the fall of the Habsburg Empire, kind of leading into World War I, and so it'll be interesting to learn more about how the fall of the Habsburgs kind of leads into World War I. So yeah, what is your favorite person from history? What book do you want to read or have read about it? Oh boy. I feel like this question is like asking a parent to tell you which of their children is their favorite. I have so many historical girl crushes, as I refer to them on this channel, and I can't pick one. There's Boudica or Boadicea, as I've heard it pronounced, Elizabeth I, Mary Queen of Scots, Catherine de Medici, there's Caterina Sforza, Catherine the Great, Sophia Tolstoy, Clementine Churchill, there's Virginia Hall. So there are a lot of favorites. I think one of the books that I'm looking forward to reading is actually The Diaries of Sophia Tolstoy, because I've always been fascinated by Sophia Tolstoy and her influence on Leo Tolstoy. I remember years ago reading The Wives by Alexandra Popov, which was this book on the wives of these Russian literary giants, so Sophia Tolstoy, Anna Dostoevsky, Vera Nabokov, and these women who were their husbands' editors, secretaries, typists, critics. So I'm really looking forward to reading that, and also finding out if there are any really good biographies on her. But I felt like it would be really interesting to read about her life in her own words. What history topic would you like to see more fiction, non-fiction about? So I knew right away when it came to fiction, more on the Napoleonic Wars, please. Particularly novels on the Napoleonic War, either about kind of the everyday people or the women during that time period. Another topic I would love to see covered more is the Armenian Genocide, which I studied in a World War I class in college, remember writing a paper on it, but I don't feel as though it gets as much attention as it probably should. I feel like there have been a few movies in recent years that kind of touch upon it, but those are more romances than they are histories. Generally, as a reader, I haven't been as diligent as I should in reading history outside of Europe, so I would really like to get my hands on some histories about colonization in particular. So yeah, what non-book resources do you enjoy when learning about history? I am a big documentary person, like huge. It's not uncommon for me to binge watch documentaries on Netflix. My favorite is actually The Rape of Europa, which is about the art thefts by the Nazis during World War II and the efforts to recover these masterpieces. I also occasionally find funny history tidbits on YouTube. I've recently discovered Puppet History, which is hilarious. It's the same people. If you watched BuzzFeed Unsolved, they went off and started their own company, Watchers, and this is one of the series they launched. What's a fun history fact quote you can share with us? Vibrators were actually sold in catalogs in the late 19th and early 20th century. Shout out a booktuber you enjoy who also reads history books. Although I have been watching BookTube for years, discovering that there was actually a group of booktubers who read nonfiction and read history is fairly new to me. But bearing in mind that it is a fairly recent discovery, I don't know that many booktubers that talk about history books. My shoutouts are Emma at A Cup of Books, who I discovered and who has introduced me to this world of nonfiction booktubers. And then there's also Katie Davis, but I've been really enjoying her videos and I think we've bonded over the fact that we both love the Royal Diaries series that we bought at Scholastic Book Fairs. So yeah, that is the last question in this The History Challenge tag. I hope you found it interesting. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. Looking forward to seeing you again on Thursday. Bye!